Everyone experiences awakening differently, but it is universally a challenging experience. There are a lot of intense feelings and desires, and it can all be very disorienting. Due to the nature of awakening, it's important to be discerning. One can have a spiritual awakening without it being vampiric. People have acute mental health episodes that can mimic some of the aspects of a vampiric awakening. Keeping a journal can help with sorting through it all. In an ideal situation, you will have a sire or a mentor to help you out, but most people aren't fortunate enough to have this kind of initiatory experience into vampirism. It is usually thrust upon them unexpectedly, and they are usually left to figure it out all on their own until they happen to stumble upon some form of resource or community. The idea of symptom checklists to determine if someone is a vampire has largely gone out of style because the view of vampirism has evolved to see vampirism as more than just a collection of ailments and symptoms. The major question of, am I a vampire, is probably the largest obstacle someone that is newly awakened will encounter. Either they aren't sure or they're in denial, but for whatever reason, there is doubt. This is not a bad thing. It's an opportunity for discernment and to truly get to the root of the matter. No one else can tell you if you're a vampire or not. All of this said, what is the primary characteristic of the vampire? Probably the need to feed. Whether it's blood or something else, eventually you will have to feed, and this will also help with your confirmation. If you are sanguinary or think you are and decide to feed on blood, it's important that you study about safe bloodletting practices and the associated risks. That topic is worth a whole video on its own, but the point I want to make is that everything needs to be safe and consenting. Prospective donors should be informed about the risks and consent to the interaction. Boundaries and expectations should be agreed upon beforehand. You may be a vampire, but attacking people is still illegal, unethical, and will get you in trouble. Even if you are not sanguinary, you should make an effort to be ethical in your feeding. Just because the majority of people may not notice you feeding on their energy is not free license to feed on anyone you want. This is unethical, and there is always the possibility that you will antagonize someone that's stronger than you with the will to put you in your place for feeding without consent. Vampires are not the only energy-aware people roaming around. If you are an energy feeder, you should also make an effort to learn effective energy work techniques. This will give you a greater level of control over your urges, as well as allow you to know when your tank is getting dangerously close to empty. It can be a problem for energy feeders that they don't realize they are on empty until they are starting arguments or engaging in impulsive behavior to meet their needs unconsciously. Even if you don't intend to join a house or court, it is still probably a good idea to read up on the various traditions and groups that have influenced the vampire community. Be respectful of everyone unless they give you a reason not to. Being rough with newcomers isn't as common anymore, and just because you're new doesn't give anyone the right to be rude to you. That said, don't confuse questioning with being rude. Asking questions is how people get to know you and where you're coming from. It's not always an interrogation. You don't have to adopt a certain look or style to be a vampire or be part of the community. Don't let your ego get the better of you. Be on the lookout for any cult-like behavior when dealing with groups or group leaders. The dark allure and secrecy of the vampire community can be fertile ground for nefarious characters. Respectfully question others just as you have questioned yourself. Protect yourself and your privacy. You don't have to share everything about yourself or your path. Despite how it feels, you are not alone. Everyone in the vampire community has been through this before. Some vampires even describe a second awakening several years after the first one. In my experience, it's not as intense as the first awakening, but it does thrust your vampire nature back to the forefront and forces you to take notice. It may be more valuable to view awakening as a process rather than as a specific event. The defining characteristic of the vampire may be hunger, but their nature is continually evolving. Thank you for listening.